Hey team, here we are. It's Business Bites. I'm going to jump into our Make More Sales group and make sure that the live is indeed here. So it looks like something has popped up, but I can't see the video. Here we are. Okay. Crisis averted. It's all good. We're here. It is Wednesday in Australia. Happy Wednesday to you, middle of the week. If you're here with me, let me know. Give me a I'm here or a hashtag hello in the comments below. This is a juicy, juicy topic. Who wants to close more sales calls? Show of hands. Let me know that that's you. Because for some reason, sales calls tend to be one of those things that so many people struggle with. So I'm going to give you guys a couple of minutes to jump on. I can see some of you. Hey, Bianca. Hello. Wednesday afternoon. Here we are. We've got Brittany. We've got Helen. Anna. Hello. All right. So let's get a sense check first. By the way, this is one of my favorite topics, right? Because sales calls are the place to connect. And if you know Shani, you know that Shani's all about connection. So I just see this as a vehicle for connection. Brittany says, hello, Helen, me. Okay, so you probably want to have your pen and paper or a digital note taker ready to go because I am going to give you some gems today. And I'm just getting myself set up. Guess what? Yeah, there were tech issues. So... I tell you what, some things never change. So crisis averted, we're here, we're ready to go. You've got your pen and paper or your electronic note taker. I've got my words of wisdom and a little bit of my brain left after a long day. So let's get into it. I would love to know from you how you feel about sales calls. So in the comments, give me a hashtag love if you love sales calls. Or if you think I'm bonkers that I love sales calls, give me a hashtag bonkers because I want to know, how do we actually feel about our sales calls? Because how we feel about our sales calls is going to come through on the sales call. And it doesn't matter how good of a script you've put together or downloaded from the internet or did some training or watched something on YouTube University. If you don't love your sales calls, then you're going to struggle. And that's why we're here today, to talk about some of those things that you can do to really overcome the struggle and close more calls. So in the comments, Anna's given me a love. I haven't had any hashtag bonkers yet, but maybe some of you are slowly tapping away. I'm sure one of you is going to tell me that I'm bonkers. This wouldn't be a live in Make More Sales without somebody giving us a random hashtag. Helen, I want to love it in the face-to-fact business. I loved, in the face-to-face business, I loved it, but then again, I had built the relationship. Okay. So thank you for sharing. All right. I tell you why I love sales calls. Zig Ziglar said that when we help others get what they want, we in turn get what we want. And a sales call is the place it's the vehicle for you and others to achieve that. Brittany bonkers there, I said it. Thanks, Brits. Seriously, so here's the thing. If you're approaching your sales call as though it's a sales call, then it's going to be a struggle. Because we have icky feelings about sales. And your sales call is not actually to sell. In fact, if you've followed a process where these people have found you through your content or through you connecting with them on social media. So you might be labeling it as cold, but it's actually not cold because from an organic perspective, there's been some connection point. You haven't gotten their number out of the phone book or the yellow pages. You haven't turned up to their doorstep and knocked on their door randomly. You haven't, jumped into a store and started speaking to people you've never met before. There's actually been a connection point. Whether they were referred to you, whether they found you on social media, whether you found them, you've had a connection, they've seen your content. In order for you to be on that call, there's been a conversation of some description. So it's actually not a cold sales call. mindset shift. So a sales call is actually not there to sell, because most of the selling happens before the call. Through the content, through the connection, through the conversation in the DMs or on the emails. The selling has already happened. The sales call is actually about you and the other person getting clarity on whether or not you are a good fit. So if you turn up to a sales call thinking that you're going to close this person, make an offer, close this person, then that's the first mistake. I approach my sales calls from a fact-finding position, pardon me. Because I don't want to work with everybody one-on-one. There's been people that I've turned down, and equally people have turned me down. So it's not about selling. It's actually about clarity and connection. Give me a hashtag connection, ladies. I'm not seeing any gentlemen here yet, so I'm going to say, ladies, give me a hashtag connection if this resonates for you. If you can see that your sales call is actually it's not about selling. It's about getting clarity as to if you and them want to take the relationship further and create a coaching relationship. Helen gets it. Bianca's calling me bonkers. Mary doesn't like cold calls. Oh, Brittany doesn't think I'm bonkers though. Okay. Brittany's getting it. Monique, hello, you're here as well. All right, so we can take the pressure away from ourselves. We can take the burden off of ourselves and the other person on the call when we approach it from this place of just really wanting to get to know each other and get clarity and understand, do they actually have a problem I can help them with? And do I want to work with them on that problem? Hey, Jojo. So that energy alone, that place of service on the call really, really helps to fundamentally shift the way that you can run your call. So I'm going to give you 3 questions today that will allow you to close more calls. But before we get into those 3 questions, here's a little bit of wisdom that you might want to take down. If you struggle to close sales calls, then this is probably going to resonate for you. Because the reason that most people struggle to close out a call, to make an offer and close the call, is because you think that you and the other person have to speak the same language. And what I mean by that is that you think that you and them have to use the same words regarding the problem that you're talking about. And when the prospect, the person you're on the call with, isn't using the same words as you, many of you start to shrink and think that you don't have something valuable to offer, because what they're saying to you, you're not actually understanding because it's not your words. So for example, the person on the call might use the word cake to describe the problem, and you use the word icing. So what happens is you make an assumption that you can't help them, because you think that they've got a different problem to the one that you help them with. But what you failed to see was that you were both actually talking about the same thing, which in this instance is a sugary feel-good treat. You just have different words to describe the problem. Your job is to know how to communicate your value in a way that they can understand, which means mirroring their language that they use to describe the problem. So if they used the word cake, instead of you using the word icing, you would come in and use the word cake, because you're talking about the same thing. You know, if we want to place this to relationship coaching, the relationship, you know, education industry, whether it's Gottman or bloody Dr. Phil, will all tell you the same thing, which is that communication tends to be the barrier. It's the same in your business. You're talking about the same thing, you're just using different words. They can't understand you because you're not mirroring their understanding. So keep that in mind throughout the entire call. Pick up on the words that your people are using. And then mirror back to them that, because now they feel that you understand them, because they only understand in their language. It's like if they speak Chinese and you speak German, but really you're saying the same thing, just in a different language. So your job on that call is to ask questions to understand not only what their pain point is, but the words that they use to describe it. Give me a hashtag words, team, if this is making sense to you. Can you see that perhaps you and the people that you connect with, whether it's on a sales call or on social media before you even get them on the call, or even in person if you're networking, can you see that maybe you and them are talking about the same thing, but you're using different words? Yep, Brittany gets it, Helen, Jojo, Bianca, awesome. So please take note of the words that your people are using, because you will have a habit of projecting your words onto them and then you lose them because they can't understand you. And you're the leader, so you should be getting this. You should be leading, not them. Mary gets it. Anna gets it. Thanks, team. Awesome. So asking the questions that don't just identify what their pain point is, but the language that they use is key. So I hope you got your pen ready, because I'm going to give you the 3 quality questions to ask on your sales calls. It's actually going to close more calls. Number 3 is going to be the kicker. But the first 2 are important because they lead you to number 3. So the first question that you want to ask on your sales call, Jojo, guilty. All right. The first question you want to ask on your sales call, at the beginning of the call, once you've built some rapport and you've understood what it is that they're up to, in terms of why they're on this call, the first question that you want to ask in that call, you want to ask them for permission to sell them at the end of the call. Now, no, you do not say, do I have permission to sell you at the end of this call, right? That would be a bit random. Even as I say it out loud, I'm cracking up because it's kind of funny. You're not gonna literally say, may I sell you at the end of this call? But you as the leader are going to seek permission at the very beginning from them and make it super, super clear that you're going to make an offer at the end of the call if you decide that you and them are a good fit. So I will say something along the lines of, I'm going to ask you some questions to get really clear and certain about what's going on in your business. You can insert your topic here. Maybe it's relationship, maybe it's health, right? Whatever that is. Brittany. All right. Brittany's cracking up, which is now me cracking up, because she's like, it's like a date. May I take off your clothes after supper? Pretty much, right? That's what it's like. It's funny the amount of relationship references that I use. And now this is hilarious. Okay, so I will say something like, I'm going to ask you a few questions throughout our time together because I want to get really clear on what's happening for you in your business. So you'll say relationship, personal growth, whatever that is. And then I'll say, and if I am certain that I can help you, then I'll let you know at the end of this call how we can work together. Does that sound good? So you can see there that I've told them that if I am clear and certain by the end of this call that I know I can help them and I want to, I'm going to let them know at the end of the call how we can work together. And I ask them for permission by saying, does that sound good? So they are now expecting that they are going to be sold to, and they've given you permission to do that. This is the coaching relationship starts here. Think about how you coach your clients. You're empowering them to find their own solutions. The sales call is the same thing. You're empowering them to get clear on, do they want to be sold to? So that's question number one at the very start of the call. Now, I obviously don't have the capacity to take you through every single question or how you're going to structure your sales call. For those of you that are working one-on-one with me, you get that. Some of you have already gotten that. Some of you are working on it. But I am going to give you the other two questions that you absolutely do not want to skip out on in asking on your calls. Many of you will have a script. For the love of God, ditch the script. Please ditch the script. When you are focused on a script, you're not focused on the person. And they can feel that. So for those of the people that come and work with me one-on-one, I take you through a structure of how to structure your call using human behavior principles. It's much easier for your brain to remember a simple structure for how to run your call that gets the best out of the person, that brings from the subconscious to the conscious mind what's going on for them, and gets them to be clear on if they actually want to solve this problem and pay you for it. It's easier for you to be clear on a structure instead of a script. So if you have a script, I encourage you to get rid of it, because you are disconnecting, not connecting on your calls. And your close rate will demonstrate that. It'll be low. Once you've gotten permission, you actually, instead of following a script, you want to ask a very simple, open-ended question that gets them talking. Because you learn nothing by talking, but everything by listening. And if you're asking yes, no, closed questions, you're not getting any information. So ditch the script and instead ask an open-ended question. So question number 2 out of the 3 quality questions that you want to have on your sales call is simply, tell me about where you're currently at in your business. Swap out business for your service. So tell me where you're currently at in your relationship. Tell me where you're currently at in your personal growth journey, your self-love, your marketing, your book writing process, whatever your service is. Tell me about where you're currently at with X. That question will keep people talking for about 15 minutes. And they're going to give you a download of everything that's going on for them. Most people you won't need to ask many more questions of, because they're going to give it all up from that one question. And like what we were talking about at the start of this live, you want to be taking note of the words that they're using as they describe to you what's going on for them, because you want to use those words at the end of the call. So question number 2 is, tell me about where you're currently at in X, whatever your service is, and let them talk and don't interrupt. Team, are you ready for question number 3? Because it's the kicker. This is the baby that's going to get the calls closed. I'm waiting for some comments, and I know that there's a little bit of a delay. So I'm sure you're ready for number 3, because this is the kicker. This is the one, if you've done your job properly, Helen's like, yes, okay. Now, if you've done your job properly and asked them quality questions that get them talking instead of following a script, Joe, I'm too busy writing notes. Okay. Most of you will go and close people and tell them things like what it looks like to work with you, how much it is, how long it goes for, and they never asked you for that information. So why on earth are you telling them what it looks like to work with you if they didn't ask for it? What do I mean by this? Many of you have a script. You've got 10 questions that you're going to ask. You get to question number 10. You think you've gotten everything you need, and then you go to make an offer to them on the call. No. Do not make an offer to anyone on the call unless they've asked you for it. And you have the power to get them to ask you for it. But you do it in a way that empowers them. So you don't ever tell people what the price is, how many sessions it is, what the package is, or any of that until they ask you. And the way that you do that is at the end of the call, when you're moving towards the end of the call, you will say to them, what questions do you have of me? And you will shut up. The questions that they give you indicates whether or not they're ready, they're clear, they trust you, or if there's still gaps. You shouldn't get objections on your call if you do this. The reason you get objections is because you've tried to put people into bed and they didn't say that you could take their clothes off, Brittany. The reason you get objections is because you're trying to close people instead of empowering them to ask you to close them. You don't get objections on your call when you ask, what questions do you have of me? When I get clear that I'm on a call with somebody that I know I can help and I'd love to work with them, I will say, I've really enjoyed our conversation. I am certain that what's going on for you, I can help you with. It's exactly what I do with my clients. I would love to work with you. So really now it's just what questions you have of me. At that point, they will either ask you questions, which tells you what they're not clear about yet, or they will say to you, yeah, I would love to work with you as well. How much does it cost? And what does it look like? How long is it? Now they've asked you to sell them. They've asked you for the price. They've asked you for the information on what it looks like to work with you. Now you have permission to tell them what the investment is because they're ready for it. There's no objections. So the third quality question to close more sales calls is, what questions do you have of me? And that, baby, is why I have a 98% close rate. Number 3 is a game changer, but you have to do the work first on the call to get there, which means connecting with them, not a script, letting them speak, taking note of the words that they use so you can mirror that back to them, and asking them what questions they have. Because then they feel seen, they feel heard, and you don't have objections because you didn't go in and try to grab them by the jugular. So, team, that is our 3 quality questions. What are your thoughts? I'd love to know, what did you get out of this training? What's been your biggest insight? Before we wrap it up today, I would love to hear. I've gone over time again. The problem is I just love hanging out with you guys, right? And I also love to talk about sales because sales is just the vehicle to service and connection. And for me, sales is actually the vehicle to building a family. For those of you that are inside of Inner Circle, you know, I tell you, you can't get rid of me. Once you're in there, there's no going anywhere. There's no turning back. I'm very, very privileged that I've had clients with me for a long, long time. And that starts with the sale. So Brittany, so good, needed structure. You love being authentic. Yeah, you know what's really interesting? How many coaches tell you just show up and be authentic? But you're like, well, what does that even freaking mean? Right? We need structures for things. We need strategies so that you can bring yourself and your heart, but with a strategy, so you're not wasting your time, you're not wasting their time, and you also actually make a meaningful connection. Mary, shut up and let them talk. Jojo, wish I'd known this before I made all the errors with scripts and learned how to manage objections. Adil, hello, ask them what questions they have, let them answer. Perfect. So team, if you loved this training, if you love serving, if you want to have more people to serve, if you are not in Business Builder, please get in there and join us. I'm putting a link into the chat. These are the conversations we have in Business Builder, but in so much more depth. And in Business Builder, it's where I help you to communicate your message in a clear way. How many times are you sitting there in a DM conversation with someone and you're like, shit, where do I take this conversation? I don't know what to say. I don't know how to convert it to a sales call. That's what we do in Business Builder. So you're not misunderstood. So you do make a connection, and I'm with you in real time while you're having these conversations. So there is a link in the chat. I encourage you to get in there. You can cancel anytime if for some reason you find it's not for you. But most people come in and they stick around because it's absolutely incredible in there. So jump in, get on the link. Brittany's put her hands up. She's like, yes, get in there. And I really, really am grateful to all of you for being here, because sales calls is magic, and you deserve to close more calls because then you're serving more people. So the link to Business Builder is in the chat. I hope you will come and join us. It's a thriving community where you're going to book more sales calls. Until then, until Ask Me Anything on Friday, team, I'll see you soon. Bye for now.